audio version for my book, Was It Because I Was Black? And this, of course, continued from the last chapter 2 into 3. So I continued from chapter 3 as we speak. One night, after a few drinks at the bar, we were heading back home, and John asked me if I had to choose between making love to him or his wife Sarah, who would I choose? And he would pay me. I was shocked, upset, disturbed by the entire suggestion. So for 15 minutes, I remember I heard every car horn, every abusive word drivers hurled at each other as I was driving, the singing of the wind, then the stillness of the night. I heard it all because I was so numb. I never answered him because I knew he was drunk, and a drunken man's conversation bears half truth. However, I waited on him the following day, but he never brought up the conversation, never again. What if that had something to do with now? Asked Todd. I'm not sure, but you need to take it easy, my love, said Gail, and allow it all to work out. Listen to me clearly. You must never ever mention that to Sarah, okay? That will destroy her, declared Gail. Let's go and have a cup of tea. You need to calm your nerves. Todd was reluctant, and he asked her if he could be left alone for a few minutes. I am tired of killing this thing in my mind. I'm trying to understand what happened, why my friend took his life. I think it is time to do it for real. Joshua had told this to his grandfather on 2 occasions, and John knew this was the moment. He had to do something to save his grandson, from becoming a mass murderer. And that is going into chapter 3. Yes, that is going into chapter 3. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, the book that I'm reading from is my book, of course, and the name is Was It Because I Was Black? This is a continuation of my audio readings of my book. Okay, so as I continue. So I'm now going to chapter 4. It was midday. Sarah had just left home to run a few errands, and she was dropping off Jessica at her part-time job. Spring had just started, and the trees had lost their leaves during the winter. The sky was blue and had a friendly and calm look. It was bright outside. It was a beautiful day to take a walk, but John and Joshua were home alone. John invited Joshua on the balcony. He said to Joshua, I have something to tell you, and you would be the first and last person I will tell this story. Joshua wanted to go online and do some research. He said, Grandpa, can it hold for another time? I have other plans for the day. Well, let me be quick then. Okay, Grandpa, go ahead. Joshua always liked to listen to his grandfather's old stories. He finds them enlightening. He said to his grandfather, I hope this one will make me laugh like the last 2. No. This one will actually make you very sad, said the grandfather. Well, I was only 13 years old. I witnessed my best friend murder, and out of fear, I said nothing to anyone until now. This is the grandfather speaking to the grandson. What did you saw, grandfather? Joshua asked curiously. John then turned around and lowered his head like someone who was ashamed of what they did. He said, My grandson, I lived with this lie for many, many years, and I felt guilty, then more now. My conscience my conscience was never cleared. I needed counseling to help me emotionally, but I did not want to talk to anyone about this because it had a lot of repercussion for my family. I would see my friend in my dreams many, many nights, and he asked me the same question repeatedly. Why did you leave me, John? Why would you walk away? I was helpless, and that's why I became a clinical psychologist. I tried to fix myself by fixing other people's problems. So this is the grandfather telling the grandson that he saw when his friend died, when his friend was murdered, and he did nothing. And it was on his conscience for years. He said nothing about it, even when he was questioned, right? So what he did is that he became a clinical psychologist and tried to figure out if he can give back, if he can fix what was the problem in his mind, of course, because it was playing with him, okay? You did not tell me what you saw, grandfather, or why did you leave your friend? Why did you leave your friend? An impatient Joshua blurted. John then paused and said, it was during the summer. My best friend Nellie, Justin, and Mark and I were in the park, just hanging out and being boys, of course. Justin brought alcohol and Mark drank with him, while Nellie and I did not drink any alcohol. However, Nellie and Justin got into an argument over a girl named Christina. Justin has just dated Christina a few months in the previous year, and Nellie was now dating her. Justin, being the bully he was, told Nellie, "Oh, you can use what I already had." But Nellie knew the type of person Justin was, and that's why he avoided him on every occasion when he brought up any conversation about Christina. Nellie ignored Justin, but Justin wanted confrontation with Nellie. So we know what's happening here. One friend was dating a girl a year ago, and now there's another friend dating this particular girl who was totally ignoring him. Justin continued and he said to Nellie, Christina was so easy to get, and if I tried to get back with her, it would not take me 50 seconds, just under a minute to take her to bed. Nellie was furious, but knew that the conversation was not going to be a good one. He tried to avoid the conversation and he said, Bro, don't let us talk about Christina. Let us talk about sports. And both Mark and I agreed and said yes. Let's talk about sports. Justin was such a bad bully, he refused to let it go. Nellie felt uncomfortable, and as his parents had taught him, to walk away and give up his rights for peace. He proceeded to leave the group, and he said, I will see you guys later. This is Nellie walking away from the bully Justin. He said, I'll see you guys later, because the conversation has become uncomfortable. Then he turned to me and said, give me a call when you get home. I never realized that that was the last conversation I would have with my best friend. John shook his head and took his fist and hit it on the table, but Joshua wanted to hear the end. So this is the grandfather telling the grandson the story. So John was so upset, he shook his head and he hit the table, but Joshua, the grandson, wanted to hear the end of the story. So what happened next, grandfather? Asked Joshua, as he turned and began to walk away. Justin ran behind him and pounced upon him. Nellie, who was a few inches shorter than Justin, immediately turned around and raised his fist in a position to fight, but Justin pulled out a knife, and without hesitating, he stabbed Nellie twice in the chest region. Both Mark and I pounced on Justin, but he raised his knife at us. Mark ran away, leaving me with Nellie, who was now bleeding from the chest, and Justin. Then Justin turned to me and said, I will destroy you and your mother if you tell anyone. So what happened is Justin threatened John. His friend was lying there bleeding, and he looked at him. He said, if you tell anyone, I will destroy you and your family. I reached to touch my friend's face, who was on the ground bleeding, and Justin said to me, let us go. I said, we can't leave him like this, Justin. Justin repeated, let's go. And I walk away slowly, looking at my friend holding his chest and stretching his hands to me. That image I lived with for so many years. I hated Justin James, and that's why he's dead today. We heard Mark got into an accident and was confined to a wheelchair, and he lives somewhere in Alabama. Nelly's body was found the following day, and we were questioned by the police, but nothing tied us to the murder, since we both told the cops that Nelly had a new group of friends, that he belonged to a gang, and he was recently hanging out with them. So you see what happened is that John refused to say, but he was threatened. He was threatened by Justin. And what they did, they said, oh, Nelly was hanging out with a gang of members, a new group. He belongs to a gang, which wasn't the truth. It was just to throw the cops off. That was the most painful part, to damage my friend's character like that. But it was all Justin's idea. I wanted revenge for my friend Nelly, and I finally got it. You got it? Explain to me, Grandpa. And this is where I pause for now. So let me reflect really quick back. So, this is where, when people live with things that they do in life, when they do things to people, and it tells on their conscience. You see, they always say wrongdoing has a way that it comes back to you. People would say karma. But when you do things to people and you think 4 years, 5 years, that you get away with it, that you would have walked scot-free, in the nick of time it comes back. And it may not come back to you immediately, but it may come back maybe to your family members, when you're in the prime of your life, when you're in the prime of doing things with your life. Because you never really was apologetic. You were never sorry about what you did. You were never clean. You never come and spoke your truth. You let the world believe a narrative of another person, which wasn't true. So John lived with this for many years. Now John is the one who actually killed himself and his grandson. When I started the book, that's what I started to talk about. Remember, Todd is the neighbor, and he just realized that his friend killed himself and his grandson. Now, John lived with that in his head for many years. That was on his conscience, that he actually walk away and allow and see his friend there dying and did nothing. Said nothing. He heard his friend character being damaged and tore away, and that was not who the friend was, and he allowed it all to happen. So John lived with a guilty conscience. So he was very close to his grandson. So he is telling the grandson the story of why he had this pent up hurt and pain of what happened to his friend. And like he said, he was seeing the friend in dreams. He was seeing the friend talking to him, saying, why did you leave me? Because he did nothing. He allowed it all to play out while his friend was hurt and his friend died. So sometimes when we see people going through certain things and we choose not to say anything and we allow it to happen, remember, you are part too. You are not excluded to say that you didn't do your part. You would clear yourself when you clear your conscience by speaking up and speaking the truth. But if you allow it to happen and knowing that it's wrong, it's injustice. So at some point in your life, it will come back. And that is what happened to John. So I'm going to close this off. I'm happy that I'm doing the analysis. I'm reading and doing the analysis. I think this is working better now. So I'm going to close this video at 15 minutes. And of course, I'll see you in my next reading. I hope you're enjoying it like I'm enjoying my own book. I'm telling you, I'm having a whole new revelation that I'm reading this book. I'm telling you that I wrote almost 4 years ago. I love you guys. Thank you, and see you in my next audio. Peace.